I thought the most interesting and perhaps the most newsworthy moment of Kirby Smart's press conference today was when Mark Weiser basically lobbed him up an opportunity to name Gunner Stockton as the backup quarterback in this offense and said, Coach, is Gunner Stockton your backup quarterback? Are you willing to name him that today? And Kirby did the coach thing. Kirby was like, I think we've got a great quarterback room. He dodged the opportunity to fully go on the record and name Gunner Stockton his backup quarterback. And guys, I know we talked about this a little bit at the beginning of the show about how maybe you don't have to say what is already known as a college football coach, but I feel like everyone thought Gunner Stockton was the presumed backup on this roster. For him to go out there in front of the media today and just dodged the question entirely when he had an opportunity for what I thought was a layup. Mm-hmm. He's been here the longest. Those other two guys just got here. If we had to play tomorrow, he would be our backup. That's the easiest, most obvious answer. I thought that was non-newsworthy had he chose to do that. This was a little bit weird, in my opinion, today, boys.
Yeah, especially when he's already played a game as a backup. He backed up Carson Beck in the Florida State game. Now, I know that was after Brock Vandagriff entered the portal, was not playing in that game, but he was already kind of the number 2 guy in a football game already, which is more than Jaden Rashada or Ryan Puglisi can say. So, yeah, it did feel like a layup, and it's interesting that he would dodge it. I don't know if I would label this as kind of in the category that we were talking about in the national hour of protecting your room, because you still have a whole season ahead, and everybody in that room knows the deal. It's Carson, and then next year we have a quarterback battle between us and whoever else is on campus with us. But just kind of feels weird that you wouldn't give credit to a guy that has stuck around like Carson has and just say, like, yeah, he's our backup.
Let's be fair, has Georgia ever had a true quote unquote backup in the last 5 seasons?
Todd Monken after spring practice one time said that Carson Beck won the backup job, and then that fall started Stetson Bennett the moment JT Daniels got hurt. That's
exactly what I'm saying. Yeah. Like, it seems like it's always been up in the air. Even if they do tell you that, hey, here's our 2 guy, well, our number 1 guy just got hurt, we might start our 3 guy. So it seems like it's a fluid thing anyways. I wonder if they do this one to always make sure that, hey, you never know. Always battle for that 2 position, because if Carson goes down, it could be any one of you guys. I don't think it provides them any advantage to say that it is Gunner. Now, Gunner has been traditionally set up to be 2 on the depth chart, just like last year. Brock Vandagriff was your 2. Anytime you got garbage time, he was the first one to go in. But I don't know if there's any advantage to Kirby Smart saying, yeah, Gunner Stockton's our 2, because guess what happens? God forbid Carson Beck has oblique tightness or gets injured somewhere, and they have to say, okay, well, he can't go this week. You immediately are going to have people expecting Gunner Stockton about, to where if Ryan Puglisi or Jaden Rashada come out, it's going to be a what for.
I also understand this from a standpoint of you don't want to give any indication of where you're leaning for who might be your starter in 2025 and upsetting the room way too early or tipping your hand or anything like that. But here's the deal. You're already doing that in practice. Somebody's getting the 2s reps.
Right.
Somebody's getting prepped as the backup quarterback on this roster. And all signs point to it being Gunner Stockton. I only think you open up the door for people to say, ooh, he must not believe in Gunner when you do this today. At least I think that's been the narrative. Yeah. I mean, it's on the front page of national news reporting sites right now. Kirby Smart refuses to name Gunner Stockton as the backup. And this is the first time I've seen Kirby open himself up for one of those kind of headlines.
And I think, too, like, I don't see an advantage or a disadvantage for either side. I think it is kind of cut and dry to just say, like, yeah, Gunners are 2. I don't think that there's an advantage to hiding it from anybody, because it's a backup quarterback. There's a whole season ahead of you. There's a whole nother offseason ahead of you next year. And like you're mentioning, like, the players in the room know the deal at practice every single day. They've known it since spring, and if you got there in the summer, you've known it since fall camp. So I just think, I think it is exactly what you said. It was a layup. Very interesting that he just kind of, like, I don't know.
I take it as there's the number 1 quarterback, and then there's everyone else. And if we lose the number 1 quarterback, we then have to immediately open up another quarterback battle. Like, that was, like, I keep referencing this because I think it's your best example of it. UAB in 2021, you lose your starting quarterback. Kirby Smart indicated that they had a quarterback battle that week between Stetson Bennett and Carson Beck, and Stetson Bennett ended up winning, and we know the rest is history there. I imagine something similar would be that. Now, whoever the next guy is that comes out on the field when Georgia's up 45-0, that you can assume that's the two guy, but I would assume that they treat the room as we have Carson Beck, and then we have these other three guys that could help us whenever we need. And if something does happen to Carson Beck, we're going to entertain that battle. I think that's kind of what he's indicating without explicitly saying that, because again, if you do say Gunner Stockton is our clear cut in 2, and then you come out and you start Jaden Rashada, it's going to immediately then become, well, he must really not believe in Gunner Stockton.
I think that was 2021 UAB was a unique situation though, because you had a guy that was backing up JT Daniels that had half a season of experience already.
Yeah.
So he had a reason to give a quarterback battle to him versus a guy, Carson Beck, who had never started or played in a college football game in his life. This year, you have one guy who has half a bowl game of experience versus guys who one played at Arizona State, the other one just got here 5 months ago. I think it is a different situation. I could definitely see though them saying like we're going to have a battle between Gunner Stockton and Jaden Rashada this week. Whoever wins the week, that's who's going to be our starter. But I don't know. I'm just kind of playing both sides here a little bit, battling back and forth.
I'll say this. I believe Kirby Smart did what he did for a specific reason.
Sure.
Whatever that may have been, we may never know, but I think it's because he wants to entertain the idea that there's always an open battle for the 2 spot.
It was so obvious the moment he started speaking that he was spinning the question.
Yeah, for sure.
He was avoiding the naming of it. So there was an obvious reason why he didn't want to do it. It's not par for the course for him to ever name a 2. He's never really done it. You're right in that sense. But he always leads with tenure. The tenured guy always gets the nod.
So maybe that's why he doesn't feel like he has to say it?
I think they treat Gunner as if they know Gunner's not a diva. That's what I think. I think they took Rashada because they knew Gunner wouldn't waver. I think they speak like this because they know Gunner doesn't give a shit. He's just going to smile and say, yes, sir.
I mean, they put him in front of the media earlier this year.
I know. I think they just know that Gunner doesn't care. Maybe they can do this stuff, and maybe that's why he spoke like this. Maybe he spoke because naming Gunner the 2 might upset the other 2 guys in the room more so than just not naming one would upset Gunner. It could be that simple.
It very well could be.
It very well could be that simple.
And knowing Gunner Stockton and his demeanor, that's a very, very possible outcome.
Yeah, like the chat said, I think it's more of the fact that Gunner and the locker room already know what it is, so maybe there's not any need to talk about it.
Yeah, very well.
Especially with the way it sounds like he's been playing all fall camp. Sounds like he had a really, really good day this past weekend.